And welcome into a very special edition of the Thought Vessel. It is our Halloween special episode. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoba.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Vessel. Welcome to the show.
Where's your maniacal laugh?
Get with the program.
Put some on the stack and I'll show you.
I see.
Hold up. We resolved two separate stacks.
They weren't a threat. Doesn't matter.
Weak.
You don't have to counter everything. You just have to counter the right thing.
The audacity of him being out here. Your laugh was not even worth a sword supply of shares.
No, it's not even just putting a laugh of himself on the stack. No solidarity.
Nope.
What are we even doing here? How even spooky are you?
You know, if we talked about it beforehand, I might have.
Man, this is yes and territory. I don't know what you're on about.
Also, we did talk about it. You made a comment on my laugh before we started recording.
Though that was actually for me to use it in a different thing. So
Okay, but we still talked about it.
I just went for it. And Jacoby yes-anded perfectly. You're the only one that didn't. Solidarity, Jacoby.
Bam.
No one can see this, but we're fist bumping. It's very lingering. Staring straight into Levi's eyes.
There's a lot of tension here. You can feel it in the air.
Still going. You know, these visuals are amazing for an audio-only podcast.
I know.
Oh,
You had to end it sometime.
yeah, fair enough.
I needed my hand back.
All
right.
But speaking of Halloween, normally we want to do an Am I the Archenemy from the world of magic, but there isn't a whole lot of Halloween-themed Am I the Archenemies that are magic-related, but there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of Am I the Archenemies that are exclusively Halloween-related, and this is one of our favorites. Joe, take it away.
Am I the archenemy for ruining thousands of kids' Halloween and not feeling bad about it?
It's hard to say no with a statement like that.
We'll find out, because thousands of kids is a lot, but we're going to see how it's thousands of kids.
That's Toothbrush Household. That's what that is.
I live in a large neighborhood, about 90 houses. We are what's considered the rich neighborhood. So obviously, I now know why it's 1,000 kids.
Weird flex, but okay.
It's not a weird flex. That's actually a pretty reasonable flex that so many people say all the time.
Yeah, that's right. The kids come to my house for Halloween. You know what I'm about.
They got the good candy bars. What are you talking about?
I have a sense of deja vu thinking of The Rock.
Oh, yeah. I got a rock.
Oh, good old Charlie Brown.
So our neighborhood has always been a hotspot for trick-or-treaters. We used to get about 700 to 1,000 kids a year. I've always loved getting trick-or-treaters because my kids are teens now and don't trick-or-treat anymore. But in the last 4 years, it's gotten ridiculous. There's thousands of kids and their parents flooding the street, people with hay in their rigs carrying kids around, trampling yards, littering candy wrappers everywhere, and the amount of small children walking around by themselves is appalling. People from the neighboring town of 30,000 people take their kids to my neighborhood. That's a lot.
This sounds like someone who had the joy of enjoying Halloween and then they got a little too old and their back now hurts and they still work all the time and or are about to retire and the small kids are no longer their favorite.
I don't know if I would want to deal with 1,000 kids within the span of like 4 hours.
Yeah.
No offense to you, Levi.
Yeah, you can't even just put like a little candy bucket on your front porch and call it a day. You're gonna have to refill that like 5, 6, 7 times minimum. Like that's rough.
I was annoyed, but I never really did anything about it till 2 years ago. My daughter tripped and broke her arm. We didn't think it was a break, but we wanted to go to the ER anyway to get it checked out. And there were so many people in our neighborhood, we couldn't get out. There were cars everywhere, lining the streets, parked in people's yards. It was horrible. We had to wait until everyone left, about 1 a.m., to go to the hospital. My daughter had to wait in pain for hours. That's real arch villain territory right there. That is their villain origin story.
That is
Out of the way, you stupid trick-or-treaters.
I think
my daughter needs to go to the ER. Crunch, 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 crunch.
I think that's when you have like one person go in front of the car, like, get out of the way, we're going to the ER. Get out of the way, we're going to the ER. And just kind of get people cleared.
Yeah, because like a wee woo wagon is extremely expensive.
And especially because
Also-
it's a child. You don't know that it's like their pain tolerance. They're just wanting to get it quote unquote checked out here. I get that. I've thrown my back out and had to go to the emergency room, and I still didn't call the ambulance.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if the ER would have gotten there in a much more timely fashion because kids are stupid, and the ER vehicle would have had to be really slow.
They also have the get the fuck out of the way.
So in the Midwest, that did not get kids out of the way. That
Hmm.
just made them turn around and either flip you off or wave at you.
Some of the dumber kids thought it was the ice cream truck.
Nah, none of these kids. Maybe one kid. No, you're right, actually.
At that point, I was done. I contacted the neighborhood community and we managed to get some folks, cops mostly, to stand at the gate.
Love it.
To stand at the gate with the list and only let certain people in. Oh boy, we're blockading the neighborhood.
Did we just frat house Who Do You Know Here? A neighborhood for Halloween candy?
I think so.
That's amazing.
Folks that live here, family members, and friends. If you wanted to get in, you had to be close to someone in the neighborhood. It was great. There were only about 300 kids in the neighborhood, and after there was barely any trash. And we're doing it again this year. I recently told my sister what I have done, and she got really angry. When we were kids, we had to trick or treat in other neighborhoods because we lived in a trailer park with no other kids. She told me I was a horrible person for ruining thousands of kids' Halloweens, but honestly, I'm not too broken up about it. It was a hazard. If there was a fire or an emergency, no one would be able to get in to help. When I was a kid, there was never any cars lining the streets. The residents could get out if they wanted, and it was never dangerous. I don't know about never, but like definitely reduced dangerous.
Dangerous for different reasons.
Like, I wouldn't say it's never dangerous.
Again, in the Midwest, it wasn't that people were so numerous that it was dangerous. It's that the people who were there just did not care. The ambulance would honk and they'd be like, hi, and then keep going on the road because they just don't care.
But also, you had to be strategic about your Halloween outfit. Like, you couldn't just wear whatever you wanted because, like, it was going to be cold. Like, there was a couple of Halloweens that I had in the Midwest that were, like, there was snow on the ground. Like, you have to incorporate a hoodie or a jacket in some way.
I remember my Halloween trick-or-treating in my neighborhood in DC, and, like, there wasn't a lot. There wasn't also not that many kids in my neighborhood either.
I committed the worst idea I'd ever had for a costume because I was in the Midwest.
I'm so intrigued. I need to know.
I did a scarecrow. I did an accurate scarecrow. I had straw in every portion of my clothes.
I'm getting Jeepers Creepers flashbacks.
It was so itchy, but I was
Yeah.
warm.
That's true.
But it was so awful.
Straw will do that to you.
Yeah.
The hell was that?
My tongue wanted to have
Do
fun.
that to you.
Donkey.
Donkey.
My tongue wanted to have fun. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I've always respected my sister's opinion. Am I the archenemy?
So let's blast it on Reddit.
Info. There was no one in the cars. They were parked in the middle of the road in the yard, so there was no way for me or an ambulance to get through unless every driver in that neighborhood at the same time went to their cars at the same time and drove out. My daughter was 13 and in that awkward phase where she doesn't want to bother anyone for help and said it didn't hurt that bad. Ah, yes. I broke my arm. I don't want to bother anyone.
It's just a flesh wound.
Okay, I'm gonna be real. I empathize with that because I broke my shoulder around that age, and I had the same opinion, and then found out I broke the tar out of it. 3 different places. No ligament.
I don't relate because I was just like, man, can I do this myself? Probably not. I'm going to ask somebody. It is within how I grew up that maybe I should ask somebody.
I had a very different upbringing. We know this.
Though on the other side, we have my mom who is just like, I want to see Michael Phelps complete. I don't care if my arm is swelling up to the size of a grapefruit. I'm not going to the ER on a Saturday night.
On TV or in person?
TV.
Is this pre-DVR or was DVR an option?
I don't believe we DVR'd at all back then.
So probably not an option.
Because I feel like you probably could have done it. Like, even like in the 90s, the old school, like you could have taped it. You couldn't watch it then, but then you could circle back and watch it. You just got
no. She left it.
worked.
She left it the entire night until the next day.
Gangster.
Your mom thugged it.
Love it.
Yeah, that was the issue. But yeah, no, full stop. I don't believe this guy is fully in the wrong since it legitimately caused a medical hazard.
we're gonna hit them with that. You had us in the first half because you started off really rough.
That title peak.
That is
so peak.
Very engaging. However, like I don't think it was that bad what he did. And like, yes, there's a medical hazard, but also like a lot of people spend a lot of money on their lawns and stuff too to have it just get absolutely trampled. And the kids are one thing, but like cars parked on it and stuff, when you're not signing up for that, really brutal.
Well, here's the other thing, right? If you can't get your car out of your neighborhood because a bunch of smegheads wanted to park every possible spot, and then you had to like basically sort it out yourself with the tools at hand. I don't think that's clause to be like, yeah, I'm evil because wanting to get out of my dwelling for emergencies is just so off-putting.
Yeah. Also, I was looking at you because I was not expecting a Red Dwarf reference.
How? I've been telling you to watch Red Dwarf with me for years.
He is quite adamant about it.
I mean, that's fair. I've already seen it, though.
So watch it with me again.
That's fair. It's a really good series.
It's a phenomenal series. Levi hasn't gotten on the freaking train yet. We're going to force you on this.
We watched a lot of it.
We watched like 3 episodes.
We're getting off topic. We need to divert back to the guy being an asshole to kids.
Hey!
He's not being an asshole to kids, but like...
The guy not being an asshole to kids, yes.
Well, truthfully, I don't think that it's entirely the kids' fault. This is squarely on the parents that are pretty much disregarding everything of like coming into somebody else's neighborhood at this point.
Mm-hmm. You have to be respectful. And like, even around here, there's like certain neighborhoods in Troutman and stuff that some of my family lives where there's a lot of people that'll go to that neighborhood to do trick-or-treating, mostly because it's like all new builds and it's highly populated and like everyone's kind of keeping their lights on and stuff like that. But like they have cop cars that are like, they have their blues lights on just showing presence at all times. This is proactively managed, like understand like there is going to be a lot of people here. Let's establish the infrastructure so people can get in and out.
Specifically in my neighborhood, they in fact had to add it to the HOA bylaws to not park on the side of the road because it was that much of an issue.
So I have a question then.
During Halloween or just in general?
In general, because there are some people that stack like 10 cars on what is essentially a 2-lane only road, making it like, oh, well, if you came into that 1-lane road that had 10 cars as a barrier and somebody else is coming and they didn't see you, figure out the logistics. It became too adamant. It's in the same strain, and I don't know why the HOA still approves of it. There's this house literally at the start of the neighborhood that has a light show that they sync up to a radio station. They are at the front of the neighborhood.
So everyone just stops and watches it. And,
correct.
Yeah. Ugh. Great idea. Poor execution. I will say, like, you know, when I was a kid, we used to drive and go find those kind of places and watch those. It was great. I loved those. But yeah, I can see that being an inconvenience.
So here's a question, right?
Here's an answer.
I'm kind of viewing this with a metaphorical situation here. If we go to like a party, right? The parents bring their kids, whatever. The parents being a total canoe, just awful human being. And then the kids are best friends, but you tell them they can't come over with their parents because their parents are crazy or whatever, right? You're not ruining the childhood of that kid because the kid's bad. You're being like, your parent is just unhinged and you, the child, could probably come hang out with our kid, but like, we can't have your whole family here. So you wouldn't be...
Your parents can't sit with us.
Right.
You're cool. Your parents, though.
Yeah. This feels like that. Like the kid, he's not ruining it because the kids were all dill holes. He's doing it because the parents don't know how to be normal parking, not in the way goofballs. I'm trying to not curse.
But I will say, a child's pursuit of like candy and Halloween trick-or-treating options, they will find another neighborhood. I guarantee you that.
They'll look at the bouncer at the front of this neighborhood, be like, can I go in? Do you know anyone? I know some people.
Yeah, Michael. Michael who? I don't know.
And just like, let me see your ID. No, let me see your ID. I'm 5.
You know what they could? You know what I think would have been, if he was so worried about it, like his sister, they should have made it to where the kids could like bike in. So they could bike around the neighborhood.
Then you got a bunch of unattended children.
No,
Well,
I'm saying
and that was the other issue, is that they already had unattended children that were way too small to be by themselves.
okay, but like if you can ride a bike into the neighborhood, I don't think you should be that small to be able to ride a bike to that neighborhood. This is assuming maybe like they're not next to every other neighborhood. They sound like they're well off, and that means they're probably a little bit of ways away, right? I don't think 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds are going to bike all the way to your neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm also just thinking like the logistics of them getting up to like the 1,000 kids. What's the actual distribution of kids to each family that's coming there? At minimum, it is like a one-child family coming there versus the very far end, the 1%ers of like 10 children. All right, kids, we're going to the rich neighborhood. Cacophony of yays from 10 kids in the house. You're still going to average like 2 to 3 kids per family, which means at an average is 500 families descending upon this neighborhood.
Yeah, that's way too much. And all their cars and other things too. Even if you're parking like a couple blocks away and walking in, like that's too much for that little neighborhood to handle.
Yeah, because they said they had 90 houses.
Yeah. Not the arch enemy.
Definitely not the arch enemy.
Oh, no.
Still, a very interesting situation.
If the reason was not that his daughter's arm was broken and
Yeah,
needed to get to the hospital,
would have been a little Karen-y for sure.
yeah, definitely. Like just adding into the wrappers on the lawns and leaving it that, sure. Okay, you could say a little bit of an asshole.
I like how he led with it was broken. We went to go figure it out because we weren't sure. It's like, okay. So when you found out it was broken, you added it to the story. Good parent.
All right, moving forward here, we just got through, not too long ago, our Dustmorn, which is our horror-themed, kind of Halloween-themed set. We get one of those, seems to be one every year. A lot of it has been Innistrad to this point, just with all the werewolves and vampires and things like that. But was there anything that you were kind of hoping to see, or not hopeful as in like I thought it was going to happen, but it would have been cool to see that you were kind of hoping for that we didn't quite get from the Dustmorn, or just anything in the future that you would be on the wish list?
The universes beyond for like spooky.
Okay.
Something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I know that we got Chucky and we got Ghostbusters.
We technically got Ghostbusters. I was a little disappointed with that secret lair, to be honest.
There was 2.
Yeah,
There's two separate ones.
Yeah, but if you're going to get like Ghostbusters Secret Lair, I get a bunch of random reprint skins, and then the one commander I can get, instead of like, I don't know, any of the actual Ghostbusters, you're going to give me Slimer, and you're going to put it on the mimeoplasm, which has been done to death.
Well, actually, the main reason why they did that is because it's just like Dr. Henry Wu from the Jurassic Park. I'm pretty sure that they couldn't get their likeness.
Well, you have the animated show to pull from.
Yeah,
But
which is owned, and they probably could not get their likeness.
They could get like the characters onto the cards, but if you are like me and remember, I remember the 4 character and what they look like, but if you asked me their personalities or anything like that, couldn't tell you. And it's really hard to just ascribe one of those characters to maybe a legendary creature that everybody knows.
Yeah, but I would have liked having a Ghostbuster commander. I think that would have been really neat.
Definitely fair. Maybe the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man would have been...
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, honestly, especially with just how big that one has been.
Like, Slimer's the most iconic ghost from the Ghostbusters series.
I mean, technically the ghost in the logo is the most iconic.
That's not an actual character, but like Slimer, especially when you factor in the cartoon series, was definitely the biggest one. But like, I think the Stay Puft for like people who just watched the movies was more iconic. I really would like imagine a Stay Puft Marshmallow Blightsteel Colossus.
I was going to say, what would you have the Stay Puft be? So you'd think Blightsteel.
I think either, it depends on which one you want to go with. I think Blightsteel for the big one. If you're doing the little ones that populated all over the place in the new series, a Scoot Swarm would have been hysterical. Like just a whole bunch of little Stay Puft Marshmallows everywhere would have been amazing.
Honestly, Vigo would have been really good as a legendary creature.
Yeah.
Just be like Edgar Markov. He is Vigo.
I would have loved a card of Zool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
we got Zool twice.
Just there is no anything, only Zool.
I will say, outside of the ones that the nice camp, I think that they should have delved a little bit more into like some of the newer horror movies and maybe even some of the remakes that they did. Like John Carpenter's The Thing. imagine just
Yeah.
seeing the thing as it's a flesh duplicate. The imagery of John Carpenter on a flesh duplicate.
So I have a non-magic desire and a magic desire. The non-magic desire is that I really want to get something not Alien versus Predator related, but something in the line of just like, I guess something akin to like The Thing, where there's some alien style like evil monster. I don't want straight up xenomorphs, but you get the idea.
I think it's
But just go with the xenomorphs. It's actually the original Aliens is the classic horror movie.
Like I like xenomorphs, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about if magic would do it, how they would do it. Like I feel like they would feel under. We would talk about the acidic blood, and it would probably do like 3 damage to a creature, and that feels underwhelming.
I think at some point we will get, and it's going to be very controversial, but I think we will get some kind of alien invasion set.
Well, there's a space opera set upcoming, and I think that one was codenamed Volleyball. So we are at least going back to space, but not in an Unfinity set.
So we have kind of left kind of the normal conventional like high fantasy, and we are just kind of every which direction at this point, which there is kind of like a back and forth with me when I think about this kind of stuff. Cause like when you think about the Call of Duties, right? Call of Duty first came out, it was kind of like a kind of World War II, kind of some of the like past historical.
Yep. Call of Duty
context,
Shoot 'em,
yeah.
man.
And then now it's just like this crazy futuristic nonsense, and it's just mostly for the online gaming play, and it's evolved over time.
With Kevin Spacey.
It's really bizarre because like you only can go into the future so far before you're just random like fictional like high technology stuff, and then you're at that spot and you are stuck.
So the main reason why they had to do that was because when you go back into a lot of the World War I, World War II, there are a lot of interesting stories that you can tell until you put them back to back, and they all become pretty much a lot of similar stories, and you're just not going to grab audiences. So they had to invent new, different ways to engage their audience, such as future tech, and try to develop their story that way.
Yeah. And when you're getting to the sequels and everything like that, certain video game series like Final Fantasy have been able to continuously move forward because the story is always different. We're going to different worlds and learning from different characters. If we were just following Tidus from 10 the entire time, probably wouldn't end very well.
Ha 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 ha.
There's your maniacal laugh.
I went over my non-magic. My magical one is, please, on Innistrad, for the love of God, give me my 3-color werewolf commander. I just want a 3-color werewolf commander. I don't care what the 3rd color is. Give me my 3-color werewolf commander.
He's a little confused on what we're talking about, but he's got the spirit.
No, he
We're
said
also
things
Halloween theme-esque.
No,
But not outside the world of Magic Secret Lair Universe Beyond.
No, I said
outside
my
and
non-magic, and then I said my magic. My magic-related one.
I understand. I'm poking fun. I'm having the fun. I will say that does lead me into my other pick that I would love to see as far as like crossovers with Magic is the Resident Evil and Silent Hill like survival horror, because obviously people love Pyramid Head. They in fact loved them so much that they put him into the very first live action movie when the character that movie is about doesn't interact with Pyramid Head in the game. That's specifically Silent Hill 2 and its very specific purpose.
There is one other crossover I didn't think about until just now, because it's one we've done a little bit. I would not mind an Age of Sigmar crossover. So that's in the Warhammer universe again, but it's more fantasy. It's fantasy based rather than super sci-fi. So instead of like super soldiers and mech armor and Tyranids, we have like the Skithrix, which are a bunch of freaking rats.
Just the sound Skithrix does in fact invoke horror. Yeah, I'm about it.
Yes, the Skithrix are just like a legion of rats, and when they go to fight you, there's just way lots of them, and then when their numbers thin and you're like, we have you on the run, they go, you're right, and flee.
Fair
Fight
enough.
another day.
When I hear the Skittles, I think of Skittles, and I think of Skittles, and I get hungry.
Fair enough.
So now I'm hungry. So thank
Taste
you.
the infect, eat the infect.
Ah, yes. The next universe is beyond. The stuff. Silent Great is people.
I think it'd be kind of funny to get like a secret lair where like you have Gray Merchant of Asphodel, but it's actually named Gary and stuff like that. Like all the nicknames, like, you know, get an actual Steve, get an actual Skittles.
I think we're actually losing the plot of this one now. This was supposed to be horror themed. What the?
I
just-
didn't lose the plot.
In general, that'd be really funny. I think an April Fool's one, that'd be fantastic. But For her, like, I think a lot of, like, I would have liked reskins of some old classic commanders with Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael Myers, some of, like, the heavy hitters from the horror genre. I think it would have been really neat to get them into the Magic universe in some capacity.
And they can, I mean, Magic could do what like Dead by Daylight did and just make their own characters until the franchises are just like, oh, you're making money over there? Oh, let's make this deal. Let's make it happen.
I'm sure something akin to that is how we got some of the stuff we have.
Dead by Daylight legitimately started as just, yeah, we wanted to play a game where it was running away from these like 80s villains, but we don't have any of the rights, so we're making our own. And then they got super popular to where the 80s franchises were just like, oh, let's just have them in the game.
I mean, that's what
Oh,
happened with the Warhammer crossover. It's why that became a thing in Magic.
People like making money.
Yeah.
Also, if it's entertaining, people are going to spend money. It's kind of the whole crux of it.
I wonder if someday we'll get the crossover going the other way. So, like, would we get like a Jace Beleren or Chandra HeroClix or something?
Well, they already did do something like that because it was Smite, one of the MOBAs where it was like gods and stuff. Atrax is in there. Like, full
And-
stop. Atrax is just in a video game that's not Magic related.
And a lot of that's great. I want to see more of that. I want to see Magic take their IP seriously and have a lot of these crossovers go the other direction as well.
You know, League of Legends got into Magic with a secret layer. It would be crazy if they decided to come to Magic and make a skin line in the League of Legends for the characters.
Or just like work with Riot and make the characters in the game.
See, like,
You could easily put Jace or Chandra in there.
I would say yes, but also the issue I foresee with that, with how little I remember about League of Legends at this moment, they already have like 200 characters.
What's another 500?
At that point, keep it rolling. But let's go ahead and move on to our last section here as far as our Halloween special is concerned.
It's one of my ideas. A would you rather, but make it spooky.
Terrifying. A Hallow Would You Rather.
Yes, a Hallow would you rather.
So each of us we have some different would you rathers in the world of Magic and also Halloween themed. We're going to go around the horn, talk about our answers in way too much detail, and have a good old time with it. So, Joe, why don't you lead us off?
Of course. Now, the first one that I had down, which is can in fact be a little bit spooky. You have to make a deal. Do you rather make the deal with the demons from Liliana's deal? Or do you make a deal with the Markov household?
Well, with the demons, you have the actual contractual binding where it can kind of hit you from anywhere, anytime. The Markov, like, they can hunt you down, but only Soren can planeswalk. So I guess it depends on what the deal is. Like, if it's something like I could be granted immortality if I like help you guys and I can join like the vampires, maybe I'm into that.
All I know is that I would view that as like a what we do in the shadows of, yeah, they promised me I'd be a vampire any day now. How old are you? 90. When did you start? 12.
So here's my thing, right? I'm going to go with the Liliana demons. Because here's the thing, right? Soren scared Nicol Bolas enough that when he showed up on Soren's plane, he looked around, went like this, and said, nope. Anything that terrifies an elder dragon like Nicol Bolas, I do not fuck with.
And yet Nahiri beat that ass.
And yet Nahiri beat that ass. But to be fair, she decided to rip another plane into that plane and then went, by the way, there are Eldrazi here. Have fun.
Through all things that she does through spite.
Literally spite.
She's probably the most spiteful planeswalker.
If we got more cards of her, I would probably enjoy her more because she was one of my first favorite planeswalkers.
Like, legitimately, the story after March of the Machine, where it shows that she had been desparked, and a Johnny came up to be like, hey, are you okay? Are we good? She full on spited at him until a Johnny was like, nope, I'm out. Literally between Nahiri and Soren. Nobody wants to deal with that.
I was about to say, Nahiri is like a force of nature and Soren's just a murderer. But anyways, the other thing here, right? Liliana duped 4 of these guys because she just offered them different deals until she got her immortality and was like, haha, you owe you now. Haha, get sucked, nerd. So like, I could probably trick them.
Except she inevitably still got tricked by Nicol Bolas, who held the end deal.
Who is, again,
God.
afraid of Soren. Do not fuck with.
He was probably also afraid of Liliana, which is why he put on a contract to be like, oh, control for all time, you say?
Love it.
Honestly, between me, I'm pretty sure I'd still go with the Markov household.
Woo! I'm just saying, I don't want to owe someone who can end me like that.
While true, demons are more litigious than actual lawyers.
That's
For
fair.
the shit.
All right. What you got, Jacoby?
For my would you rather, you get the power of flight, but the caveat is you're getting it from Phyrexia, or you get the power to live however long you want, but you're getting that power from a very evil source like Bolus, Soren. I'll even let you choose the source, but it has to be very evil source.
Am I only getting the power of flight from Phyrexians?
The power of flight, but you're only getting it from Phyrexians.
I'm getting Bolus.
I'm going with the bullets. The other side of that deal was just way too disproportional to being part of Phyrexia. Phyrexian is all about, hey, we're going to give you some cool shit. Here's flying only?
But also, you're at that point, you're effectively in a hive mind.
We're just stapling wings on your back. It's okay.
I'd rather them give me gun arms, mantis blades, anything Cyberpunk 2077.
So you only...
Would you rather have wings or gun arms?
Hi, I'm sorry, America.
Listen, I had to go with the lamest one first so that I got it out of my system. But that being said, I chose the wings. Y'all.
I mean, that's in a similar strain of one mind, but we'll come to it. I already know what you picked. Foreshadowing.
Are you joining the Phyrexians? I'm assuming you joined the Phyrexians.
No, yeah, I said this.
Okay.
I'm putting on the wings.
Yeah, because he could have gotten the offer of, do you want to join Phyrexia? And nothing else on the table. And Jacoby's just like, please, here is my vein. Enter
it could have been, would you rather have immortality from Nico Bolas or join the Phyrexians and also lose your right arm? And he still would have joined the Phyrexians.
I don't need that right arm. That right arm can go.
Well, I'll move on to mine here. Mine, first one here is Innistrad themed. So, would you rather be a werewolf on Innistrad or a foot soldier for the Thraben?
Werewolf every day.
Werewolf.
100%.
Not even a question.
I shall return to nature and piss on their lawn.
And get hunted?
Yes.
You know what? I'd be a werewolf. And I probably wouldn't have to deal with the fucking magic restrictions of werewolves either in Innistrad.
Then you got to keep track of day and night the whole time.
I'm going to keep it a buck. We're going to go hang out with Arlen. You can keep your Thran, boy.
I was just generally curious where you kind of would you rather be hunted and have your autonomy or versus being a foot soldier and maybe being forced to do something you don't want to do?
Autonomy with powers or no autonomy and lame. Gee, I wonder which I would prefer.
Something tells me that you're a Thraben boy.
I think in this situation, I would be a werewolf. If the Thraben were just like, hey, there's a werewolf in this village. We don't know who it is. Kill everybody.
Oh, man.
That's going to be a problem.
True ultimate night werewolf.
That's my answer. I would probably be a werewolf as well.
Yeah, all no, right. Werewolf 100%.
Back to the top, Joe.
I will, in fact, skip over the second one that I had for the one that related to Jacoby, because I think this one might be a different kind of horror choice. Would you want to be Eldrazi warped or be a Phyrexian sleeper?
For those who couldn't hear, the chair creaked as I turned to look at Joe. Venom in my eyes, tentacles from my face.
Look, I already knew it. I even told you that I knew. I even called it as foreshadowing.
Teferi might have stopped the rest of us once. He won't stop me today.
What would the Eldrazi warped entail?
Remember how Innistrad got invaded by the Eldrazi?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the cards in there showed how the Eldrazi influenced warped bodies of people. You are essentially still partially who you were, but now you're sprouting things that shouldn't be sprouting in or deforming in ways that you shouldn't be. True, I am Jeff Goldblum in The Fly, David Cronenberg kind of shit.
I think I would still want to try to keep my autonomy versus joining a hive mind, so I would do the Eldrazi warp.
I don't know what part of your mind you're keeping, but you can become devoid. That's fine.
It's kind of two different kind of hive minds. It's just operating differently. One specifically operating as a hive mind of nature, and the other is hive mind of conquest. And even then, it depends on if you're like an Urabrask sleeper or not. Because if you're an Urabrask sleeper, you're likely still going to have your autonomy. Because Urabrask believes in consent. And consent is king.
Here's the other thing, right? The Eldrazi, when they warp you, you don't have autonomy. There is no.
There
Partial.
was some autonomy.
Only
From what
the,
it was explained to me, like it was. So you're saying it's like a partial thing. Like there might be some deformities, but it's not like a full overtaking.
Because
It
like
depends on what. If you are of the nature of the area, like the werewolves, you lose your autonomy. Because the werewolves that got touched by the Eldrazi, 0 autonomy. They lost all of it because of their warped nature as an existence. Being a werewolf, already too far gone, and then when they couldn't control their ability to transform or themselves the moment the Eldrazi touched them. Like they couldn't turn out of werewolves, and then when they tried to transform during the night, they became worse monstrosities with 0 autonomy. So like it depends.
plus they did a different take of like the flip cards with the werewolves in that set where it was not daybound, nightbound, or whenever you cast your second spell. It was more of like an activated ability that was, hey, you're touched by the Eldrazi, turn into Eldrazi now.
Right. It's kind of like the what they did with the all will be one when the Phyrexian thing, when the things turned into Phyrexians. Same thing with the Eldrazi on Innistrad.
Well, I guess at that point there's not a whole lot of difference there, so I'll just stick with the Eldrazi. That's fine.
Yeah, I kind of want to be. I'd probably go with the Phyrexians.
Okay.
They're, in fact, more Cyberpunk 2077. They can give me the gun arms! Look, I'm just glad that the 2 that I asked have sparked quite a bit of discussion. I like that.
So basically what I'm learning today is just if we do a Christmas episode, what does Joe want for Christmas? Gun arms.
Gun arms.
When in doubt, gun arm it out.
Okay, but like Vash the Stampede had a gun arm.
Do you know what I would like instead of gun arms? Thumbs.
Phyrexians can give you so many thumbs, my guy.
I was about to say your gun arms could have thumbs. They could even have coffee holders.
And they can also interface with any technology. That's thinking 4-dimensional chess right there.
There you go.
Jacoby.
Alrighty. We're going to go with an isekai style here. Would you rather your next life be in the last video game you've just recently played or the last book you read? And we're saying any book. So if the last thing you read was like the Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook, congratulations, that is where you ended up.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh,
like
I know exactly
any
where.
book. It can count a comic, whatever.
I know
Well, I'm
where
assuming a fictional book.
Any book.
Ah, yes. You were reading Grey's Anatomy. You're now a doctor,
You have been isekai'd into Grey's Anatomy, the world.
which is just here's the anatomy of a human being. I hope you like that for the rest of your days. And then you resort to cannibalism because that's all that food
We
that
talk
exists.
about Grace. Her anatomy's interesting.
I mean, the
Although, if you read
last
that as a
book I
book.
read was a nonfiction book about new studies that have come out about owls because we have infrared cameras and stuff now. So
You'd become an owl specialist, I guess.
I mean, I
I'm
know
good with that.
you said it was last book or
Last book or last video game?
last video game. The last video game I actually played was, in fact, the new Legend of Zelda. I
Gonna
actually
go to Hyrule.
Yeah, honestly, going to Hyrule is probably better than going to 40K universe because the last book I read was Orcs Codex. Because I'm painting my wallet. I bought me an Orc Combat Patrol because some of our other friends from the content creation space have started buying combat patrols.
Does that mean I
Sure.
have to come with you to learn 40K stuff? Well, learn more about orcs specifically because I know Necrons.
I like orcs. They go
Yeah.
daka, daka,
Fine,
daka, daka,
I'll
blah.
learn the orcs with you. You lame man. I chose video. game.
Lame.
Listen,
Apologies to our listeners.
listen, you're allowed your Daka. Anyways, I chose video game because my last book was a romance novel about an orc adventurer who is no longer that.
Legends
you-
and lattes.
Yeah, you told me about that on the way to Levi's wedding.
Yeah, I read the second book. I was perplexed, so I started rereading the first book. My last video game was Monster Hunter, so
There you go. That'd be fun.
I'm going to go hunt me a savage devil chow, and no one can stop me.
I'm also just thinking of all the cloning that Zelda does in the new Legend of Zelda game and how it fits me perfectly.
All I want to do is see you turn into a savage devil, savage devil.
It's a callback. We accept callbacks. What about you, Levi? The next one you got.
All right. So for my next one, you have just died. whether it was hit by a bus, a lightning bolt gotcha, infect, what have you. Would you rather become a spirit or go to the Theros underworld where you have a potential to escape?
I mean, Theros. I'd fight like hell.
Coincidentally, you are in hell.
I don't follow.
Like the Theros underworld is effectively like Greek god hell.
No. I followed. I don't follow. This is me feigning ignorance right now with me. I don't follow.
So, the spirit thing, am I just here for eternity? Is that the premise?
Or I guess until someone exiles you or something. Or
Just someone in swords to plowshares me, huh?
Yeah.
I see.
or you find your purpose and why you've been left behind and you could ascend or whatever it is. Whatever
So-
the ghost deal is. But you're
So-
haunting something in your plane that you died.
My answer will come with caveats then. I will choose spirit if I get to leave on my terms, meaning I get to bother people until I am extraordinarily bored in like 400 years.
Yeah, I'll say you at least have to go like 3 centuries.
Like
Long time.
I plan to bother people years to come, centuries to come, probably enough to fill a Google just to be ignorant. But only on those terms am I willing to pick spirit.
Look, I'm full on. I grew up with Greek mythology. I've loved Greek mythology. And especially with the mechanics that they brought in with the Eros of I could either come back as a zombie from the underworld and just, if I remember correctly, you had to like serve some time as the zombie to try and regain your humanity, because I'm pretty sure that's what Daxos was doing. Or with the most recent Theros, escape, where you could just come back regardless. And after you fought like hell, guess what? I'd fight like hell. I'm a wiry mother.
See, I'm just gonna come and bother specifically you in the hell of Theros. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna be one of the most annoying challenges that just takes the longest. Find and hunt down this spirit. Okay, who is it? I don't know, some asshole who keeps turning off people's TVs.
Nah, escape. Why would I do that when the entrance and exit is right there?
I hope you know every time you'd go to open the door, I would flick the lock. I would wait for you to check it again. And then the moment you go to exit it, I would flip the lock once more.
Look, I just also pull out the ancient Greek of, what was his name? It was a king who literally kept cheating death. The time he was actually brought down to the underworld, he told his wife not to do the final rites for his body that the Greeks do, so that he could go to Persephone and be like, I didn't get a proper burial. My wife left me without like drachmas in my eye. I couldn't do this, that, and the other. It's like, oh, you poor guy. Here, take this 1 day pass so that you could get your final rites and everything done. And he's just like, thank you so much. And then he spent the rest of his life up there until he died of natural causes to very pissed gods. Literally, this king was also the one who inspired Sandman because he trapped Thanatos for 3 days, the actual god of death, and nobody could die. And Ares got pissed.
I keep stabbing them and they won't go down.
War's less fun if people don't die. That's Ares' literal line. Yeah, but like I'd go there.
I would
Now, Mr. Captain Spooky Bitch, I'm guessing I know where you lie.
Oh, we're absolutely haunting stuff.
Levi and
Hold
I
on to your dookies. It's about to get spooky.
Levi and I are just gonna sit there, Joe, doing everything he can, constantly stubbing his pinky toe on every single stool for God knows what reason. Couldn't have been one of us.
To quote Captain James T. Kirk, I need my pain. It what makes me human. Literally from like Star Trek 5? I want to say it was 5.
You're going to stub your toe, and every time it heals, right before it's done healing, you're going to stub it again.
That was the one where they were trying to find God in a nebula.
Star Trek did a lot of weird shit. I respect it.
I have the next one because I kept all of mine pretty magic and didn't really deviate out of it. Would you rather spend a day on Innistrad or Duskborn?
A day?
A day. Full ass day. 24 hours.
Oh, that's different.
He was like, yeah, daytime.
I was like,
during
daytime,
the
Innistrad.
sun.
Easy.
Yeah, no, 24 hours. A definition of a day.
Well, Duskmorn has a lot of raiders and stuff, but as far as like an organized militia to combat anything, that's a bit lacking. Innistrad at least has a way to prepare against a lot of these things. Or you could look at try to form alliance with the werewolves or the vampires for 24 hours. I would think I'd do Innistrad.
So, like, as a reverse to my previous stance, I could just beg Soren, please don't kill me. Hear me out.
Soren says, oh, free food.
I'll take that big vampire dick of yours.
I don't know about all that, but I would look at Soren and be like, I'll tell you where the rest of them are, please. However, like, just hang out with all of the humans at day, go to night times, like a vampire shows up and be like, they're all over there, man. Snacks for days. 2 pieces. However, like in Duskborn, it's just everything's awful the entire time you're there. There is no concept of day or night. It's just horror, and all the TVs are bleeding. There's shit popping out of them.
Yeah. And like the artwork from Duskborn, like when you look at everything individually, like if we were in an art gallery and some of this stuff was on a wall, like a little teddy bear made out of spiders and stuff, terrifying.
And let's say, like, either way I die, right? Getting eaten by a vampire is way better than looking at the equivalent of like It from the movie, and then it turns me blind and I bleed from the nose and go the whole time.
As it sucks on your psyche.
Yeah. Like, I think I'd rather just get bit on the neck or have my throat ripped out than into the 3 suns or whatever it is.
Fair enough. And what was your answer?
Truthfully, I'm split. I'm so split on this because Innistrad, you probably have a pretty okay chance of survival by just not like running into any of the horrible shit. Whereas Duskborn, you at least can go off and find basic amenities like functioning toilets.
You and the toilets again.
Look, a toilet is necessary. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's 24 hours. Squat in the woods. You'll be okay.
No!
Joe's out here. He'd rather get a
Fucking call back from episode 7. Jesus Christ.
Joe would rather get some weird monstrosity done.
Sorry that there's toilets.
than shit in the woods.
Joe's worst fear, dysfunctional plumbing.
Correct.
He'd rather get fisted by a TV demon than just shit in the woods.
But also, there's likely going to be actual computers on that plane too.
Yeah, parental advisory gone in this episode for sure.
What? Because there's toilets? My God.
No, by the fisted by TV demons comment.
Sorry, it wasn't the I just gotta have your big vampire dick.
Also that.
I was about to
All
say,
of the above.
I was about to say, we were already there by the time I jumped on this fucking railroad train.
Oh, yeah. Truthfully, I think if I had to choose, it's probably going to be Duskborn, but not by a lot. Both seems like it would be hell, and that's why I chose the choice of Would You Rather, because that's going to spark some discussion.
All right. Jacoby.
This one's kind of targeted at for you, Levi.
Oh, boy.
So,
Not even a factor. I
No.
see.
well, you'll understand.
Fair enough.
You are locked in a room. In this room, you're only...
Which side of it?
Yes.
Okay.
You're in a box. Anyways, you don't get to leave until you beat one of the 2 of these guys at chess.
Okay.
You either have to beat Jace or Teferi. Jace, the uber mind child with like hundreds of IQ, or Teferi, who can just control time and just take as much time as he wants to think about anything, and it's like seconds for you, basically.
So it basically is, hey, do you want someone who can legitimately see the future or a person who can read your mind?
I think for me, and I'm cheating a little bit here because chess doesn't exist in the Magic universe. However, that wouldn't stop Jace, who can read my mind, and I would know how to play chess. So then, therefore, they would know how to play chess and how to stop me.
They have a chessboard on the Talisman of Hierarchy art.
I know, it's weird.
Doesn't that mean that chess exists?
Theoretically, but we have no evidence that they know how to play.
There's chess and a card.
Yeah, but have we had any lore about Teferi and chess sitting down for a game?
I don't think that matters.
I don't think we have lore about anyone playing chess, but that's not...
But either way, I think someone who could literally read my mind would be interesting. But if they both know how to play, I think Teferi being able to roll back his mistakes would be more important than someone reading my mind. Because if you can see the board, all the information in chess is known at any given time. Like, you can understand my intention, but if I'm playing fundamentally sound, it won't matter. Like, it's just all about positioning.
At that point, Jace read your mind and at least can see the strategies you're going for to then plan around those strategies. So it might be a little bit more difficult because he could see what you're likely trying to do because he can know your next 3 moves that you're trying to do.
But like Teferi infinite rollbacks, like I'm not sure how you could beat somebody who can always take his turns back.
Also, without the telepathy, Jace has like genius level IQ anyways.
True.
Like they're
And
like,
yet
they're
he
both
does
really
some dumb
smart,
shit.
but Jace is like outsmart Nicol Bolas smart.
I'm losing both ends, but also maybe I get like brain is mashed potatoes, Ixalan Jace. Like, well, you never know.
I think even that Jace is smart, but that would be funny. Brainy smash, and he just beats you casually at chess anyways.
Like, just if I'm gonna go against one of them, like I'll take concussed Jace and try to figure it out. Like, beat him on time or something.
Truthfully, I'd look at this as who would I rather hang out with more? And truthfully, I think I'd much rather hang out with Teferi. I think he'd just be a much chiller dude than Jace. I'm not beating either one, but I'd rather hang out with Teferi.
Jace is just sitting there letting you know how smart he is. He's not even looking at the board. He's just reading a book the whole time.
Yeah, whereas at least Teferi was a trickster as a child.
Oh, Teferi's just sitting there telling you a history of Dominaria.
He'd literally be so much better to hang out with than Jason. That's all that is.
Let me tell you about my kid who can't leave the temporal field.
Damn. Teferi is the ultimate buzzkill, is what we're learning.
But he did get his kid back. What are you talking about?
Eventually. He was gone for a while.
Yeah. What about you, Jay?
I would totally hang out with Teferi because I don't know about Jace. Jace would be lame.
Same reasoning.
Teferi, I could dab up Teferi and be like, let's just talk about your whole family while I lose.
He hates
to him.
Teferi too. That's the weird part.
I
Every
hate
Teferi
Teferi.
card.
No. Hold on. He hates Teferi's mechanics.
Yes.
He probably thinks he's a swell dude.
I hate his magic. He himself, however, is probably
We're going to Teferi because we're probably at least going to get some fun banter.
To be fair, at least if it's like time crap and it's only chess, I'm less salty because it's like, yeah, I know you already saw this coming. Jace is just a smug dick about it the entire time. I guarantee, because he doesn't do anything but either read your mind or he's just smart the entire time. He's just like, you bore me.
Teferi, I would dap up. Jace, I'd be like, you're a fuck boy.
Jace would beat you reading a book and he'd be like, tell me about your chess club at this high school and how no one liked you. Because he's just reading your mind like a douchebag. Teferi's going to actually ask you questions like a fucking human being.
Possibly.
Correct. But yeah.
But I'll stick with mine and maybe possibly have a chance of beating Jace. I don't think it's happening with Teferi.
Your choice literally banks on, please give me concussed Jace. Please give me concussed Jace. Thought reader.
I mean, I'll take the murdered version too. I'll take Corpse Jace from Brassica.
You just don't win at all.
I mean, I move and then they can't move, so they forfeit. And then I get out of the room.
I think the stipulation is that you have to beat them in chess, and if a corpse can't play you in chess, you cannot actually beat them. Therefore, stuck in the room.
I mean, I did beat somebody in a high school chess meet because he never showed up for the game.
Okay, but that's due to time. This is a restriction of you can't leave until then.
It's one of those weird setups for like
going with mashed potato brain juice. Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
You're praying for mashed potato brains. Got it.
And Levi, I believe you were rounding us off with the last one.
So mine was extremely similar to yours. So I'm going to go dig out of the Halloween theme, but I've got one that I think is equally scary. So you are playing in a pod of Commander. You have to be in a pod for 4+ hours with one of the two people.
I'm already scared.
First one is the under-explainer. This is the person who just casually is doing a bunch of stuff, missing triggers left and right, generally just not playing the game in any way, shape, or form correctly, missing life loss triggers or drawing cards, kind of cheating, but it's mostly out of ignorance. Or the over-explainer, who's going to narrate everything that is happening, even though it is obvious that you're tapping this thing for 1 mana in order to play the Soul Ring. No one is going to pass anything on priority, and it is going to resolve.
I would rather choose death. Can I just... The only smart play is to not. I would like to can't.
Nope, that's not one of the choices.
I will, in fact, just stop thinking. Therefore, I amped.
We're going to come back to you, Jacoby.
Nope. I believe that my thought process has killed this man.
Jacoby is also dead.
We, in fact, would have just rather notn't.
You got to pick one. You can't just say no.
I'm probably going to just go with the under-explainer and then just like, okay.
So the game has to be 4 hours, but I'm
Or
allowed...
just series of games, the pod.
The games are 4 hours. I have to play with this person for 4 hours.
Yes.
There's nothing that says I can't beat the brakes off of them, right?
Mechanically with cards, like you can't just assault this person.
Well, no. That doesn't work for playing 4 hours of Magic. But
Look, it's okay. I just assault myself as I proceed to notn.
so I would go with the under-explainer because I tend to beat a lot of those players. And also I tend to be like, what are you doing? And when they try to give me like the most limited, I go over it again. And here's where you're wrong. Like I can deal with an under-explainer because I deal with it a lot. Everett was an under-explainer when we had him. So, and I played a lot with him to get to be like, hey, buddy. I was the only one who ever asked him what he was doing, by the way. You always turned and were like, what the is this? So did you, actually. I was the only one who ever asked him.
Now, that, in fact...
He was just there for vibes.
I get you, but when everyone's like, where did you get these dinosaurs? And he goes, I cast them.
Here's the issue with that statement, Jacoby. That required me to have an attention span.
He's got a point.
Yeah, you know what? You don't have the attention for either of these two.
This is, in fact, why I wouldn't. I would just cease to be. I would rather set myself ablaze like the monk protesting than do this.
You'd rather go, and then just phase out, like get dusted, like Thanos dusted.
Yes, I would like the artist who is drawing me into existence to die of a sudden heart attack so I go out like the beast of Arg.
Yay, Monty Python. That was fun, Secret Lair.
Yeah, it was.
I had to purchase that rabbit.
But we got the buns. That's
Yep.
the important part.
Now, the important question. What's your choice?
For me, in my personal, like my job now and my job previous, like I've dealt with a lot of people that didn't really know what was going on or wasn't really on the right page. So I can work through and like kind of identify like, okay, for X arena trigger, you get an extra card here, lose your life. And I can kind of stay on top of it a little bit. If they're missing like a lot of triggers that aren't necessarily relevant to the game, I might just let it go and just rule of fun, just let them deal with it. But the over-explainer, I know what I'm doing. I'm casting my spell. I know this person has death touch. I'm factoring that in with my calculation here. I might have something like a combat trick in hand. That stuff runs me up a wall. Like that is a massive pet peeve. So I think I would rather do the under the explainer than the over explainer, personally.
Basically, nobody really wants to deal with the over-explainer. The over-explainer is the worst option of those two.
I wouldn't mind the over-explainer if not for their monetization of time. Sorry, I said monetization. I meant
Monopolization.
yes, monopolization of time.
Yeah, and especially if you're playing like 4 hour worth of games.
Although
you're probably getting one with the over-explainer.
I was about to
whereas
say,
you could get multiple with the under-explainer.
yeah, the under-explainer, I'm just going to be like, all right, we hit turn 7. I'm going to do wizard stuff.
And if it's in a lower powered pod, like a lot of times the under explainer, it's a very limited consequence.
Yeah, the over-explainer with a pre-con is just like, oh.
I mean, it depends on the precon. If it's like a very technical, like some of the energy precons that have a lot of triggers all over the place, might be a problem. But if it's something kind of straightforward, like maybe the Spirits Commander from back in the day or something, it's not as big of a deal.
Spirits, can't do it. Not today.
But that is all the time we have for our Halloween special. Mwahahaha.
Ah, it's a callback.
Are you happy now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so that is all the time we've had. This has been the Thought Vessel. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacoba.
And I'm Joe.
Y'all have a good Halloween.
Take care.
Stay spooky.